Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Cooking Without Kidneys, where we're here to help people who are on dialysis not just survive, but thrive through food. Today we're doing our own version of Asian takeout at home. We're making our own dough to do some egg rolls. Okay, we got sweet chili sauce that we're making from scratch, as well as doing a poached chicken egg roll. And later we're going to get into making some shrimp fried rice. So with that, let's get started. So I have a pot here. Okay, it's already warm, and we want to start getting our liquids in here for the poaching of the chicken. Now we're poaching the chicken so that way we can actually pull it and use it as our stuffing, so that way it stays moist. If we were to grill it, if we were to roast it, you run the potential of drying it out. This will actually help to cut back on that. So going to add our spices. Now I'm doing a little bit of cinnamon, I'm using a little bit of pepper flake, I got some cilantro and cumin, some ginger here, as well as some pink peppercorns and coriander. All right, and we're just going to add this to our liquid. And we're going to cover it and let it come to a simmer, so that way we can get all the flavors in there at one time. And then we're going to add our chicken, and it'll take about 15-20 minutes to poach. Okay, so we have our chicken stock over here. It's got a nice simmer to it. You can smell all those spices cooking into the liquid. And we're just going to take our breasts and layer them in. We're going to cover that, and we're just going to let that cook for about 20 minutes, so that way it'll get to a point where it's nice, it falls apart, and be soft. And we're going to get our sweet chili sauce going over here on our back burner. So I have here 3 chilies. These are jalapenos. I left them seed in. If you want it hotter, you could use Thai chilies. If you don't want it quite as hot, you could actually use red pepper flakes. Me personally, I just love the color that this creates, as well as the flavor of jalapenos as they are. So I left the seeds in because I really wanted the heat. Put those in the pot. And this is a combination of mirin, which is a sweet cooking rice wine, and rice wine vinegar. All right, we need that little bit of acid to help break things up and break things down. So that way the flavor of the jalapeno comes through and it'll cut that heat, so you're not just getting the straight spice. That's why we call it a homemade sweet chili. And of course, I'm using confectioner's sugar. You could use regular sugar, that works just as well. And I'm only using a 1/4 cup. If you're using regular sugar, you want to use a 1/2 cup. Confectioner's is a little sweeter. So we're just going to add that too. Okay, we're going to turn that on. And we're just going to let that come up to a simmer. While these are both cooking, we're going to get our veg ready for the stuffing, so that way all we have to do is add our chicken to it after we pull it. Now we're going to start to work on our vegetables. All right, I have my pan here. It's nice and hot. I'm using a little bit of ginger oil. You could use canola, you could use avocado if you really want to, but still we have to watch potassium. But we're only using about a tablespoon. So we just want a little bit to start to cook our veg down in. We're going to start with our aromatics. So I have ginger and garlic here. We're just using a little of each. We don't need a ton. I really love putting these both in a pan together because you get the sweetness of the ginger as well as the little bit of spice that you get from it and the flavor from the garlic. So we got these nice and toasted, and we're now going to add our carrots and peppers. Now notice I didn't add any white onions to this, I didn't add any red onions to this. We're actually going to use scallions. Onions, as we know them here in the West, white onions, red onions, they're really not used over there. They actually use a lot of green onions in their recipe. Then we're going to add our cabbage right on top. Now this is just a straight green cabbage. You could use Napa, or a Savoy cabbage, which is a little bit softer. Either one works. And of course, our scallions. Now that we got everything sauteed together just a little bit, all of our flavors are starting to come together. You can smell the peppers, the garlic, the ginger, everything, and now we just need to bridge the gap. So we're going to deglaze with a little bit of rice wine to cook, cooking wine. And a splash of the Bragg's liquid amino. You could do these egg rolls just with the vegetables. You could do these egg rolls and you could use shrimp, you could use beef, whatever you wanted to, and it would work. You could do it just like this with just the cabbage, the peppers, the scallions, and the carrots. We're going to let this cook for another couple of minutes. Check, see how our chicken's doing in here. You could smell all the aromatics in here. You could smell the cinnamon, you could smell the pepper, you could smell the ginger and garlic that that we used in this. We still have another few minutes on this, couple minutes on this, and we're almost there. All right guys, so we have our veg right here cooked up, ready to go. And we're just going to take this and set it off to the side to let it chill. It can come down to room temp. It does not have to be 100% cold. Our chicken still has a couple of minutes, so in the meantime, we're actually going to take care of our sweet chili sauce also. So this is our sweet chili sauce. As you can see, the jalapenos are nice and soft. Everything's cooked through. The sugar's dissolved in. You can smell the heat and the spice. And this just gets poured right into our blender, and we're just going to puree it. You always want to take the lid off when you're pureeing anything hot, so that way it doesn't splash and splatter everywhere. So as you can see, it pureed really well. It smells delicious. It's still really thin, so what we're going to do is we're going to put this back in our pot, bring it back up to a simmer, and just let it reduce down. And now we're going to start working on our dough. Okay, now this I made earlier. I wanted to give it, a couple hours to rest so the gluten had a chance to relax and the dough would be nice and soft and easy to work with. This is just a basic egg dough that I made using egg, flour, oil, and water. That's it. All right. Now there's a couple different ways we could do this. I could cut this down into quarters or six, whatever size I'm going to do it. Or I could just rip it apart and do it piece by piece. We're not looking to make one giant long roll. All right, so I'm going to actually out of this dough, which is only about 1 cup flour, 2 eggs, 1/4 cup of oil, and enough water for it to bind. I got 12 orders out of that. So normally they're square. Because we're doing this ourselves and making our own dough, you could do it a little bit more rounded, depending on what you're looking for. But the whole idea is to get it thin. So I like to say thin and stuffable. Now I just let this rest out on the counter. You can take this and put it in the fridge. And if it seems like it's sticking a little bit, I got flour right here that I can use to, absorb that moisture and keep it from sticking to the board itself. As you can see my hand straight through that. Okay, it's nice and thin, all set and ready. Now we're just going to do a few. While we're waiting on our chicken, we're just going to get a couple done. So as you can see, we have our chicken. It pulled right apart, felt shredded real nice, mixed in with the cabbage, the carrots, the scallions. Smells delicious. And once we bake this off, we'll see how it tastes. So, we're going to just take our dough that we just rolled out. And as you can see, it's nice and elastic. So if you want a little bigger, if you want to make bigger egg rolls, you could do that. Pull it some more. We could roll this out some more, okay? And you could also go to the store. If you go to any Asian market, you could actually find wrappers already made that you could just peel apart, stuff, and put into the oven. So we're just going to take a little bit of our mix. And this is just nothing but a little bit of egg and water. And we're just going to use that right around the rim. This is going to help our egg rolls to seal. As you can see, we're going right around the edges. Now me personally, I like folding the sides in first. Voila! These are our homemade egg rolls. We're going to actually coat them with a little bit of egg over top and then bake them off in the oven. So these have been coated with egg wash. We're now going to pop it in the 375-degree oven for about 15 minutes. Okay guys, while we're waiting on our egg rolls to bake, we're going to get our stir fry done. So this is a combination of ginger oil, sesame oil, and canola oil. Now it's mostly canola oil. Why? Because canola oil has such a high smoking point. Alright, it means that it can take a lot more heat than the others, and it'll keep the sesame oil and the ginger oil from burning in the pan. So we're adding a good amount because this is fried rice. I want to really kind of fry everything together. We're going to start with our shrimp. Start to cook that off, and then we're going to start to add all of our vegetables, our rice, and then at the very end we're going to add our egg. So we're going to start getting rice cooked off. We're going to add our ginger and garlic directly to it. This is one of those things I used to make on a regular at home. You know, didn't matter if it was shrimp, if I had chicken, if I had beef, I would make stir fry. Because it was so simple. You just took what was left over. We would have leftover rice, we would have leftover cabbage or mushrooms. We would toss everything in with it. I've done it with beans, lima beans, but beans you do have to be a little careful of. They do have a good amount of potassium in them. You always want to make sure that you use fresh and not the canned. The reason is the can still has all the liquid and all the potassium that's from the beans in there. We would always have leftovers in the house, and it's perfect for any stir fry. You could do stir fry just with rice, leftover vegetables, leftover fish, shrimp, chicken, okay? It's a great way to use things up and get what you need. So I have my shrimp already par cooked. You can see it's already turning that nice red. And now we're actually going to add our vegetables. We're adding our carrots, our peppers, our mushrooms, and our scallions. We're not using any onion in this. It's not necessary. And it's actually not in a lot of Chinese cooking. You can smell everything cooking in that. coming right on through. We're going to add our rice next. Our cabbage is going to be last. The rice is toasting into it. You can hear it starting to cook. Now this rice we actually let sit out overnight in our fridge, uncovered, so that way it could dry out a little bit. And that way it'll absorb a lot more of the flavor and you'll get a nicer toast on it. We're now going to add our egg. Here's the cool thing. I'm going to add the egg straight in the middle. We're not going to mix it throughout. And now we're going to finish this off with our cabbage. We're going to use a little bit of chicken stock and Bragg's liquid aminos. So this is actually the chicken broth from the chicken that we poached. Okay, so it has all those flavors, it has all those spices, all that taste is already in here. You could smell everything coming through this, all the spices, all the flavor. We haven't even added any Bragg's liquid amino to this yet because shrimp on its own still has a lot of salt. Salt water, you know, seafood. Just going to add a little splash. We're not going to need nearly as much. So the egg is already ribboned through. You can smell the ginger and garlic and everything. The shrimp is cooked through. Cabbage is nice and soft. The veg is nice and soft. Ooh, smells good. Wow. You could taste everything. The ginger, it's got heat. It's got a little bit of heat from the poaching liquid that we used. So this is ready to go. Let's pull out our egg rolls and see how they are. Look at these guys. They are gorgeous. Nice and crisp. Dough's cooked through. It's very thin. I'm going to leave this right here. Now we're just going to plate. Oh yeah. Super, super hot, straight out of the oven. I wouldn't recommend trying these as they are. And of course, our sweet chili sauce. Now I made my own sweet chili sauce. You could actually buy your own from the grocery store. I love doing things fresh. And this way I know that there's not a ton of preserves in it. So this is our sweet green chili with our egg rolls. And here's our shrimp fried rice. And we're just going to garnish this with a little bit of sesame seed. You could use pepper flake, you could add more scallions. You know, you could add whatever you'd like to it. And enjoy, guys. All right, guys, thank you for joining us today. Another phenomenal episode of Cooking Without Kidneys, where we got some shrimp fried rice, where we have some chicken egg rolls with our own homemade sweet chili. Join us next time, where we're going to take you on a trip on roasting your own lamb and how to get yourself set up a day ahead of time so that way you don't have to worry about when you're on dialysis. Have a great day, everybody.